Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul, oh, sing with me.
You know, it's been an incredible week in America. And when I say incredible, what I mean is hard to believe. You know, the man who we call America's dad, Bill Cosby, one of my childhood favorites, from the Fat Albert cartoons to his comedy albums. I mean, I must have listened to his album telling the story of Noah building the ark 2 dozen, 3 dozen times on my friend's record player when I was a kid. And then, of course, the Cosby Show that brought an upper middle class black family into America's living rooms and did a lot to model and promote ideas of social equality for all people. Now, then this week, we see Bill Cosby handcuffed and being put in prison for rape. It's been an incredible week in America, and that story, as unbelievable as it is, was practically overshadowed by the story of the Supreme Court nominee who was accused by multiple women of sexual abuse and misconduct. As a minister for 20 years now, I could count how many times women, and in some cases men, have come to me to share their stories of abuse at the hands of others, and almost always other men, older men. And it's so deeply moving and emotional when people tell these painful stories, especially people who I love and who I know. But I'm encouraged because more and more women especially are telling their stories in this era. I'm inspired by their courage. I'm also overwhelmed when I really look at what that means, when I really look into the fact that we've had over 20 centuries of abusive patriarchy, males using their power over women and children in ways that are violent and scarring and traumatic. The ending of thousands of years of male abuse is long overdue. And I think we're getting there. We're right there. We're starting to turn. There's a tipping point, and I feel like we're pushing up against it. And it can happen. And it's going to happen. And I want all souls to be a part of making it happen. Amen. All right? Now, we don't know today how the story that's playing out in our nation is going to wind up. But what we do know is that we are in a new era where old silences are being broken. Now, even as I've been applauding women for their courage, for taking incredible risks to their lives, to their livelihoods, to their families, to speak up and speak their truth, it occurred to me this week that I've never told my own story. I was reading in the Washington Post this week an article about the 4 things that someone needs to hear when they share with somebody that they have been the survivor of some kind of abuse. The author explained that what's helpful to say to a friend, a family member, a coworker, or anybody who comes to us with a story of being abused, they need to hear, "Thank you for telling me. I'm so sorry it happened to you. You didn't deserve it. And I'm here to support you. They need to hear this because they need to know that they're supported, that they're not judged by you, and that they're safe with you. Breaking the silence and the shame around sexual assault is a key part of healing. And research shows that the response that people get, especially from the first person or persons that they tell, is critical to that person's ultimate well-being, mental health, and healing. So when I was 13 years old, I was 5'1", about 105 pounds. Let's just say I was a late bloomer. And that summer, I worked at a novelty shop in my hometown. And my boss, the owner, was an older man. I think he was in his early 40s. He was very tall, he was very big, and he offered to take me out to dinner one night. Now, before we went to dinner, he said he needed to stop by his house. And while we were driving over there, he asked me a question. I want to tell you before I get too far into this that I was able to escape the worst of any kind of physical, sexual violence, just so you can listen to the story and not be anticipating where it's going. He asked me if I was going to be playing any sports the next year when I went into high school, because this was the summer after 8th grade. And I told him, oh yeah, I'm going to be trying out for the football team, and I'm going to be trying out for the wrestling team. And he said, oh, I used to be a wrestler. You know, I could help you learn some wrestling moves, get you kind of started so that by the time the year starts, you already know some moves and kind of help you to get onto the team. And then when we arrived at his house, he said, let's take your weight. We should find out what weight class you're going to wrestle in high school. Of course, the scale was up in the master bathroom, which was in his bedroom. And when we went up there, he wanted me to take off my clothes so that we could get an accurate weight. That's when I began to get scared. I did not see this coming. Because I told him, I didn't want to do that. No, you know what? No, that's fine. Doesn't need to be that accurate. But he started to pressure me and try to persuade me using very demeaning language, very shaming language. I said, come on, grow up, be a man. You're going to be in the locker room all the time next year with naked boys, coaches. You can't be embarrassed about your body. Just take your clothes off. Let's get you onto the scale. Let's see what you weigh. Don't be a baby. And on until I finally said, I don't want to do it. Took off my shirt and got on the scale. Now, I'm not going to go into the story and all the ways and things he tried to get me to do, but I'll tell you, I was all alone in his home. Nobody knew where I was. Nobody knew who I was with. Eventually, I had the idea to pretend that I needed to call my mom. I said, you know what? I need to call my mom. I totally forgot. I told her I was going to tell her where I was going to be tonight. I told her I was going to be over at my friend's house, but I said I'd call her. I need to use the phone. He said, okay, but don't tell her where you are or who you're with. And I said, fine, because I knew it was the only way I was going to get to the phone. Problem was, I knew my mother wasn't home. So after I dialed, I just pressed the phone against my ear as hard as I could, so hopefully he wouldn't hear that it was still ringing. And then I pretended that my mother was yelling at me on the other side of the line, telling me, you need to get home. And I said, Mom, it's okay. I'm sorry, I completely forgot. No, it's my fault. I'll be home. I swear. No, I can be home in 15 minutes. I promise, Mom. No, don't get mad. Really, seriously. Okay, all right, I'll see you in 15 minutes. Okay, bye. Hung up. And that's when he said, okay, let's get you home. And he drove me back into my neighborhood and dropped me off a few blocks from my house. Now, I never told anyone about this. I certainly didn't tell my parents. I just stopped working at the shop. And this was one of 3 times that an older man in my life, that an older man tried to, against my wishes, have sexual contact with me. One of them was an assistant wrestling coach who gave me a ride home from practice one day and then grabbed my private parts. And another one was when I was 19 and I was hitchhiking, and I was on the highway with an older man, much older man, in his car. But going back to the first incident that I was telling you about when I was in 8th grade, well, when high school started, my freshman year, there was one day around lunchtime, and I saw this friend of mine. He wasn't a very close friend, but he was someone who I worked with at this shop. In fact, he was someone who had, before this incident happened, he had told me a story about going out to dinner with our boss. And he made it sound so good. He said, I had a big, thick steak, got a dessert, all the things I didn't used to get when we go out to restaurants. I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. I thought that was wonderful. I was so envious and jealous that when my boss asked me to go out to dinner, I felt really special and lucky. So here we were in the hallway at lunch in my high school. I'm a freshman. And I asked him, hey, tell him what happened, and ask if anything like that ever happened to him, hoping I might find a little support and maybe we'd do something about it. What my friend did was he looked at me, he pointed, he laughed out loud and said very loudly, oh, hey, Marlin had gay sex with her. And he said the guy's name, and right in front of all these kids. I was horrified. I was embarrassed. I couldn't believe it. I just denied it. I just started denying it, and I never spoke about it again for over 20 years. The experts are right that the first person or persons we tell about abuse have an incredible impact on how we deal with that and what we do with it and how we heal from it. And that's why I believe survivors who tell their stories. You know, I feel still a lot of guilt over the fact that I never told anybody, and I can imagine that this man likely abused other children. Even now you can see that I'm not using his name as I talk about it. I've seen he's got a profile on Facebook. I know we put these sermons up on the internet. I don't want to get pulled into some big public drama or litigation or something online or otherwise about it. It's my word against his word. It happened 37 years ago. I can remember every detail like it was yesterday of what happened in that house, but I couldn't tell you where his house was, and I couldn't tell you exactly when it happened that summer. I don't even know if my friend would remember that I told him about it in the hallway that day in high school, or if he did, whether he would even admit that he knew in order to corroborate my story. These are hard decisions about who to tell, when to tell, and how to tell our stories. And yet it's important that we find healthy ways to tell our stories and break the silence. Maya Angelou said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. Remember, when someone tells you their story, it's important to let them know, I support you, I don't judge you, you're safe with me. We can do that for each other right here. I love you. Amen.
Come and closer, so down. When you come, come before. Let the rain now take control. Healing rain, not afraid. Let it fall, fall again. Healing rain coming down, coming closer to the lost and found. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. Oh, I'm not afraid. The healing rain, now the healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. Yeah, I'm not afraid. The healing rain, now the healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. Oh, I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. Oh, I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. Oh, I'm not afraid. Oh, 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 oh.
You are stronger than you know. There is a healing spirit in this world. Feel it around you, within you, uplifting you. Go out into this day. Have courage and hold on to what is good and return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all life. Go and be blessed and be a blessing. Amen.
Healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. Oh, I'm not afraid. The healing rain is falling down. The healing rain is falling down. I'm not afraid. Oh, I'm not afraid. The healing rain, the healing rain.
Hey, we're so happy you're visiting with us online today. We love connecting with people all across the country and around the world, sharing our powerful message of love beyond belief.
There's something new happening here. You can now join All Souls as a virtual member. Our virtual membership is designed for friends who live outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and who want to engage with All Souls in a meaningful way.
You can be part of an expanding family, a global family really, wherever you are. If you live in Oklahoma,
Ohio,
or Orange County, California,
Canada,
or Cameroon. By becoming a virtual member, you'll be able to deepen your connections with members and friends here in Tulsa and with members wherever you are.
Each week, you'll receive special All Souls content tailored for you, our virtual members. Virtual members have access to pastoral care, to personal prayers, and also receive invitations to exclusive web events.
You can learn more, and if you're ready, you can become a virtual member today by visiting allsoulschurch.org/virtual membership.
We're grateful our ministries are having a positive impact on your life, and we want to share the good news of love beyond belief with more and more people. So no matter what, we need your support to keep this ministry growing and thriving, so please consider making a gift today. You can do so by texting
LOVEBB for Love Beyond Belief to 73256, or simply visit our website. You are a blessing in our lives. May you be blessed
and be a blessing.